makes me miss Florica. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. One time when we were driving through the Bukovina, which was far in advance of even thinking about doing a movie or anything, toward the end of the trip, Lucian said, well, let's go visit my aunt in Luna, Romania. And it was his Aunt Florica. And that's what I think of every time. It was really great. She made all this polenta. We're sitting in the yard. There's the animals running around us, pigs, goats, rabbits, everything. And, you know, it was really like being on another planet. I mean, absolutely. So that what you see here, in a way, really is like that. I mean, you know, with her giving the goose to him and all that kind of thing. And it's, you know, it's really Romanian. Any questions?
Liga, not polenta.
I'm sorry?
Mama Liga.
Mama Liga was polenta
Right.
that she was making, yeah.
No.
How about telling us how you got this film underway? What brought you two together and what shaped this story for you?
You want to tell it,
It's a long story, so I'll try to make it short. There's some years ago I've met Barry in Transylvania, where there's a very nice film festival, and we were together in a seminar there, and he was just against the wall, very nervous, waiting for a lady from the festival team to offer him a car. He was in the festival jury, and he was looking for the origins of his family. So I knew a little bit about. I've been reading the Phantom Father book, which basically the book itself has nothing to do with the movie, but there is a foreword there where he is describing his visit into Central Europe, trying to find out the Stein family origins. So we had a 3-day trip together, which was a very interesting adventure, very fun and mysterious, in a way a little bit like the one you saw today. So that was how everything started.
well, that's the clean version. But what really happened was I was invited to go to Romania to give out their Best Film Award, and it's at this festival. And ordinarily I wouldn't have probably accepted this invitation, except that it's true. I was doing some research into the origins of my father's family, a part of the family. And I had found out that they were from the Bukovina, this northern province now that borders Ukraine. So I accepted to go, and a friend of mine, Vinny DeSurio, and I went to Romania because the idea was, well, I'll do this gig, and that'll be the jumping off place. We'll hire a car, we'll hire a driver, and we'll go and explore the Bukovina and just see at least where they came from. And as it turned out, strangely enough, my friend Vinny DeSurio, his mother's family also came from the same region, which we hadn't known, and we'd been friends since we were 12. In any case, it's true, I'm standing there waiting for this car to come, and it's a little late, and then this guy appears. Then he had long hair down to here, and he looked like, you know, the mad Romanian, and like that. And he said, I read in the paper in an interview with you that you were doing this, you wanted to search for the origins of your family. And he said, but I, Lucian Georgescu, will take you. So I look at this guy, I never really saw him before in my life. And he said, no, I'll get the van, we'll have movie cameras, we'll do all this sort of stuff. So his wife, Andrea, who's a wonderful woman, is with him. She's standing there, she's smoking a cigarette. She looks down at the ground and she says, he's a madman. So then a car comes. The car is coming from the festival, and I take a few seconds, I look at my friend Vinny, and I said, okay, let's go. And that's how we started. And so, but the original idea of maybe doing any movie was a kind of crackpot idea. It was like the Three Stooges, you know, go to the Bukovina, or something like that, or some kind of, you know, Marx Brothers movie, and then it developed into something quite different.
So when did the screenplay, how did it turn into a screenplay?
Well, Lucian basically wrote the screenplay. I mean, we had the story. It's from a novella of mine called Almost Oriental. And then he fashioned the screenplay. I later added a couple of scenes and made up the beginning sequence where I'm speaking with Marcel Jurich. And so that was basically it. It was very organic in that sense, and it changed, right?
Yeah, there's a big difference in what you would call here a script in America. I mean, there's no script in this movie actually. I mean, in a normal country, you wouldn't go into production without having a precise screenplay, which wasn't the case of this movie and of the country I'm coming from. So it's 80% of the movie is improvised. It has a story called Almost Oriental, which Barry wrote some years ago, and a kind of a storyline which we followed. In the other aspects, everything was improvised because there were issues with the actors, there were issues with the financing. It took like 2 or 3 years with different periods of execution of shooting it. So then all the time you have to reinvent the story in a way and calling the actors back when you have some money to pay them. So it was very improvised from this point.
Also, there are different ways to look at a screenplay. David Lynch and others think of a screenplay as a kind of a blueprint. I was reading in the obituary of Tonino Guerra, the great Italian screenwriter who died yesterday and who wrote many films for Antonioni and Fellini. And he described a screenplay as a dead thing. It's just something that's there. It gives you something to go by. But my favorite screenplay story actually was told to me by an old girlfriend of mine in Rome, and she was friends with Mastroianni, and Fellini had recruited Mastroianni to do whichever movie, I can't remember now, and so Mastroianni said, I don't know if that was that. Was it that one? Anyway, but the thing is, he said he wanted to read the screenplay, so Fellini said, "It's coming, don't worry." So
there was no screenplay though.
Right.
Yeah.
So Mastroianni kept bugging him and saying, "Where's the screenplay? I want to read the screenplay. If I don't get the screenplay, I'm not going to do this movie." So, okay, by messenger, the next day, a screenplay arrives. A manuscript arrives, and Mastroianni opens it up, and he opens the first page, and Fellini had drawn a big cock. And that was it. There was nothing else on any of the pages. And that was that's 8.5.
Before I came here, they told me you should be political correct when you go in the United States. Be aware of how you're talking. I don't know what he was saying.
Yeah, but Mastroianni knew what Fellini was saying. So that's what happened. Yeah.
Was there political, government support there? And also, when you were filming in the country, you go there, did they understand?
Well, it depends. It depends what you call government support. There are 20% of the money that are coming from the official film fund, which is a state film fund. That's what you would be calling a political support. On the other hand, there's letters coming each 3 months and saying we're going to prosecute you because you haven't finalized your movie. I don't know what you call political support, but that's what it's support. That was, there's no support like, in a way, the political support was a kind of a negative thing because we were, for instance, we got some critics because this part of the country has, for instance, very famous in that part of the world monuments like the Bukovina monasteries, which are in the UNESCO Patrimoine, and they criticize that we haven't been shooting in the monasteries, for instance. I don't know. There's some state money inside. Yeah.
David?
Two questions, unrelated. First of all, you mentioned that the film was...
Can you speak up a little? Sorry.
Yeah, the film was improvisational. It leaves us with, at least it left me with a smile. My wife thinks that I only like films that leave me crying, but that's not true. It's wonderful in a sense that it leaves you with that certain uplifting mood. Was that always the intention, or was that part of the organic process? The second unrelated question was just about the historical footage. Was that, if you could tell us about the origin of the film footage that
Well, the story Almost Oriental of Barry is like his writings. It's a combination of realism and fantastic. The comedy aspect of the movie was coming from me because I wanted to do a comedy, and Marcel, our friend, the actor, is usually he's one of the few Romanian actors who made it in some Hollywood parts here. So he played in some some Coppola, Peter Greenaway, whatever, some other you mentioned.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. Stuff. I don't know who directed Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm sorry, Mimi Lather, or I don't know, some important Hollywood directors, and he's quite famous for being the only one who has shot to death Bruce Willis in a movie, as far as we know.
Hearts War.
Yeah, I mean, he was the only one to kill the guy, and so statistic-wise, and so he's quite famous. And they shot the movie in Prague, so he's famous in the Czech Republic, for instance, for doing that, because the crime was done there. So there's a comedy aspect which I wanted to have, and there's a mixture of Barry, myself, Marcel, and all that. But we wanted to do. It was also a part of the organic process, to answer to your question, yes. And what was the second? It
About
was
the footage, the archive.
about the archive. The archive is a local footage, actually. It's I think it's Gigante who's been taken.
Yeah, if you
by
notice that
police.
the guy being taken in handcuffs was Vincent the Chin Gigante.
Yeah,
when
it's
he was young.
I think it's one of the streets here somewhere.
No,
was
it's on
shot.
Sullivan Street in New York.
Okay, good. Well,